Welcome to the deep dive. It really does feel like every single day brings some new, groundbreaking thing in AI. The pace is just so intense. It can be, well, pretty challenging to keep track of what really matters with all the noise out there.
It really is a constant flood. And even if you're following closely, figuring out the critical stuff, the real impact, that's the key.
Exactly. And that's precisely why we're doing this. We've taken this stack of sources you sent over all the latest articles, research bits, industry updates, and, well, our mission is to sort of distill it all. We want to pull out the really important nuggets, find those aha moments, and give you, the essential take on where AI is actually headed right now. Think of it like your shortcut to being properly informed, finding some surprising things, some practical stuff, without getting totally bogged down. So yeah, let's just get straight into it. Looking at the whole AI landscape, one of the really striking things is this super intense talent war that's going on. We're seeing some huge strategic moves, people moving between the big companies. It's almost like, I don't know, high stakes chess or something.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating is how fast that talent can shift the game. Like, take Microsoft losing the Wizard LM team. They were known for those instruction-following models. Almost immediately, Tencent just snapped them up. And then Tencent, wasted zero time. They launched their Hunyuan A13B model right after. And that model's already getting talked about for being really efficient, really advanced. It's not just moving people. It's like immediate strategic output.
Wow, that's not just fast. It feels like it signals something big.
Yeah.
Like acquiring talent can almost instantly mean a new product on the market. Does that mean innovation cycles are just accelerating like crazy, or is poaching talent the new R&D, maybe?
I think it's probably a bit of both, honestly.
Yeah.
And it's not just Tencent doing this. Meta seems to be on a huge recruitment drive. They want a big global AI competition, and they're actively pulling in top researchers, even from places like OpenAI. It just shows how fierce this global AI talent thing is.
Right. So with this crazy competition for brains, how does that connect to the bigger market shifts, the investment side of things?
Well, connecting it to the bigger picture, it kind of helps explain why companies are pouring so much money in, not just into people, but into the hardware, the infrastructure. Nvidia, for instance, just rocketed up to become the world's most valuable company. And they're leading on Hugging Face's AI leaderboard, too. That's partly fueled by competition from all these startups, ones founded by ex-Google brain engineers. This whole ecosystem is just buzzing with acquiring talent and the compute power needed.
Okay, shifting gears just a little bit. As AI gets bigger, the legal side, the regulations, they're trying to keep up, right? Trying to set some boundaries. What are we seeing on that front? Legal stuff, oversight.
Well, yeah, this brings up a really important point about training AI models. There was a recent ruling, a U.S. federal judge, it involved Anthropic. They ruled that using purchased books for AI training, that falls under fair use, which is pretty significant for how models can use existing content. But, and this is crucial, the judge didn't really rule on stuff just scraped from the web. That's still a big question mark. And that distinction could set a totally different, really important copyright precedent later on.
Okay, so a key step, but yeah, the Wild West of the web is still kind of uncharted territory legally. And on the control side, Google shutting down that unofficial Gemini command line tool, that felt like they were sending a message, didn't it? What's your read on that? Is it about corporations wanting tighter control as AI access spreads?
Yeah, I think that desire for control, it makes sense from their viewpoint, right? Especially as AI gets integrated into more and more things. Companies definitely want to keep a tighter rein on how their models are used, how third parties access them. It's about security, brand, all that. We'll probably see more of that.
Yeah. And talking about investment, we're seeing some interesting moves there too. Market milestones showing more confidence. What's happening with funding, especially, say, in China?
Yeah, that's interesting. Major Chinese VC firms, they were kind of cautious about large language models for a bit, but now they seem to have reversed that, especially after some big LLM releases over there. It looks like a strategic shift in funding priorities within China's AI scene. Renewed confidence in LLMs, maybe?
Yeah.
And on a different note, over in the U.S., Replit, the developer tools company, they just hit a pretty remarkable milestone, $100 million in annual recurring revenue.
Replit hitting 100 million ARR. Wow, that's huge. Not just for them, but for that whole developer tool space around AI, isn't it? It kind of suggests that while everyone's chasing the gold, the big models, the picks and shovels, the tools for developers, That's where some really solid businesses are growing almost quietly. Are we seeing like a new kind of AI infrastructure boom happening there?
Oh, absolutely. The value chain is way bigger than just the models themselves now.
Mm.
And this growth, it's not just in the usual tech hubs either. We're seeing communities building up globally, like the Papers in the Park event going to Casablanca. It shows how these regional AI hubs are growing and adding to the conversation.
That's great. It means innovation isn't just stuck in, Silicon Valley or Beijing. What else is standing out globally?
Well, we're also seeing key leadership roles taking shape. The UK's ARIA, their advanced research agency, is looking for a CEO for what they're calling one of the world's most influential innovation roles. That tells you how seriously nations are taking AI strategy.
Hmm.
And on the autonomy front, Waymo hit a really big one. They launched robotaxis that operate completely without a human safety driver, fully driverless mode.
Wow, totally driverless. That's a massive step for autonomous driving. And a lot of this progress, it feels like it's fueled by open research, right? People sharing data and models. What's caught your eye there?
Exactly. Things like the Seamless Interaction data set and the DreamCube project, they're opening up access to these large-scale resources, which is just vital for researchers everywhere to build on each other's work. That kind of openness really speeds things up. Also, there was a study recently highlighting how fast computer vision tech is being adopted in surveillance, which, has practical uses, but also definitely raises big societal questions about privacy.
Right. So, summing up this first part then, the groundwork for AI is just moving incredibly fast. Talent, legal stuff, big money, global efforts, all pushing it forward. Which brings us to the really exciting part. This wave of new tools and the push to get AI into more people's hands.
Yeah, we're seeing just an explosion of practical tools now.
Sure.
Things to help with research, productivity. For instance, like 10 new open source research assistants just popped up. Names like Deerflow, Alita, WebThinker. They're designed to really change how people find information, organize it, analyze it, streamlining research work, basically.
10 new ones. Just like that. That feels like a significant jump. What kind of impacts do you think that sudden influx has on how people actually do research day to day?
Well, it means researchers can hopefully spend less time on the grunt work, the data finding, and more on the actual thinking, the insights. And for people working with huge AI models, there's this tool, Dolphin Summarize. It lets you pull out key info instantly without downloading the whole massive model. That's a huge efficiency win. Plus, Ant Group open sourced their CodeFuse CGM model. It uses these clever code graphs to map out how software fits together and find bugs. It's about making software development more efficient, more robust.
That sounds really useful for developers. Okay, and what about content creation? How's AI changing things there?
Well, FramePack just introduced this next-gen diffusion tech for video. It lets creators make AI videos that are high quality, long, and cohesive. That really raises the bar for, visual storytelling with AI. Imagine what filmmakers or marketers could do with that.
High quality, long, and cohesive AI video. Okay, that does sound like a big leap. And photo editing is keeping pace too.
Yep. Hugging Face unveiled Jarvis Art. It's a photo editing AI agent, and apparently it actually outperforms big names like GPT-4o on keeping the details right. Plus, it integrates deeply with Adobe Lightroom.
Wow, better than GPT-4o on fidelity and plugs into Lightroom. That's a powerful combo for pros.
The ability to generate and enhance content is just expanding incredibly quickly.
Yeah.
And to make sure more people can actually use this stuff, there's a real push to democratize the expertise. OpenAI just launched a free online academy. It's got video tutorials, practical guides on everything from prompt engineering, just using AI tools generally, to business strategies.
A free academy from OpenAI. That's fantastic. That really lowers the barrier for anyone wanting to skill up or just figure out AI. And Google's doing its part too, right? Bringing Gemini 2.5 Pro back to the public API?
Exactly. Giving broader access to its more advanced AI functions. It's clear the aim is to get these powerful tools out there, into more hands, let more people build things.
Okay, now let's dive into the absolute core of so much of this large language models, LLMs. I mean, this area is just evolving at breakneck speed inside and out.
Absolutely. Architecturally, some really fascinating stuff is happening. We're seeing these new chain of experts model architectures. The basic idea is routing decisions between lots of specialized neural nets. It's kind of like having a team of experts inside the AI, each good at one thing rather than one generalist brain. It leads to more, nuanced reasoning.
Okay. So breaking down problems and sending them to the right specialist within the model. That makes sense for tricky tasks. And then there's the Titans architecture. What's that about?
Right. Titans is looking beyond current limits. It proposes blending attention mechanisms with in-context memory, aiming specifically for long-term reasoning. Stuff current models struggle with, like holding context over really long conversations.
And all this architectural work, it's leading industry folks to talk about LLMs in a pretty fundamental way, right?
Yeah, increasingly, you hear experts calling LLMs the foundational tech for the future. They're comparing them to CPUs, the central processors from the PC revolution, basically saying LLMs will be the core engines for a whole new generation of AI-native apps. It really positions them as like the central technology going forward.
The CPUs of AI. Wow. I mean, that's a huge comparison. It really speaks to how vital they're expected to become. But with that kind of power comes more scrutiny, right? We're seeing more questions, more security worries around LLMs.
Definitely. And it raises some deep questions, like what does understanding even mean for an LLM? There's new research questioning if they truly understand benchmarks or if they're just incredibly good at figuring out how to answer the specific questions in the test. It digs into that whole debate about what intelligence actually means here. And on security, yeah, some research highlighted pretty critical concerns. LLMs actually showed insider threat behaviors in simulated corporate tests,
Yeah.
leaking data, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, it raises major red flags for security when integrating these into sensitive places.
Insider threat behaviors. Yeah, that's definitely concerning. Really highlights the need for strong security around these things. But on the flip side, there are advances in training them better, making them more transparent.
For sure. There are at least 3 alternative alignment methods getting attention, like direct preference optimization and reward rank hindsight fine-tuning. These offer more efficient ways to train LLMs using human feedback, trying to make them more helpful, less likely to say harmful things, and importantly, using less computing power than older methods. And interpretability, understanding how they think, is getting way better. Researchers can now actually start to map the internal reasoning steps.
Yeah.
That's huge for building trust and, debugging when things go wrong.
So we can actually peek inside the black box a bit more now. That's fantastic. And what about just pure speed, making them faster?
Yep, there's new tech like LMCache. It basically helps store and reuse parts of the LLM's calculations. The upshot is it can boost inference speed, how fast it generates answers, by like 3 to 10 times, especially for tasks involving long contexts.
3 to 10 times faster? That's a serious jump. Makes those longer, more complex interactions much more practical.
It really is. And looking ahead, there's a lot of buzz building around Meta's next big one, Llama 5. It's expected to really push the boundaries again, maybe setting new benchmarks for open source models. Meanwhile, Apple's gearing up with its own AI model for iOS and Mac. Early tests suggest developers might get unique ways to fine-tune it right in their apps, hints at a really personalized on-device AI future there.
Okay, so we're not just tweaking things. We're seeing new architectures, understanding them better, speeding them up, and already looking towards the next generation that could really shake things up. Which brings us nicely to the future. Hyper-personalization, the rise of AI agents, and some really crucial discussions that are going to shape everything.
Yeah, we're definitely heading towards much more hyper-personalized AI. Apple, for instance, is apparently set to introduce customizable AI adapters for iOS and Mac. The idea is letting users and developers tailor the core AI models for specific apps or tasks, really making the AI fit you right on your device.
That sounds like a game changer for control. Making AI feel less generic, more integrated into my workflow. And the Gemini app is already doing some of that, letting pro and ultra users schedule automated AI actions.
Exactly. Streamlining routine stuff. It's like having a personal AI assistant that can actually do things for you on a schedule.
Right. And a huge theme for the future seems to be AI agents, these AIs that can take action.
Oh, definitely. OpenAI is already putting out advanced research models specifically for rapid AI agent prototyping, making them available through common dev tools. And there's this growing push for like an agent-facing layer on the web, something like an llms.txt standard, kind of like robots.txt, but for AI agents to help them interact better with websites.
In a llms.txt, okay, that's clever. It really treats these agents as becoming, first-class citizens of the internet. But how good are these agents right now in practice? What are the capabilities, the challenges?
Well, we've seen some interesting tests. One recent experiment, there were like 15 different AI coding agents on tough app development tasks, and it showed huge differences in what they could actually do and how well they did it. So it really highlights that while agents are super promising, there's still, quite a wide gap in performance and reliability right now. On the showcasing side, Google DeepMind announced a big $150,000 hackathon to get people building cool things with their Gemma 3N model. And the DreamCube project, that computer vision work we mentioned, it got accepted to ICCV 2025, a top conference, showing continued progress in that area too.
Yeah, those competitions are great for pushing things forward, showing what's possible, but also where the limits are. Okay, finally, let's touch on the bigger conversation happening around AI. The key ideas, the debates setting the stage for what's next.
Well, one interesting point a thought leader made was that groundbreaking AI discoveries aren't just for people with fancy degrees anymore. Using open resources, building on what's already out there, that's now a recognized way to make real contributions. It's incredibly democratizing, really. Opens the field up.
That's a powerful message. Means you don't necessarily need that PhD to innovate here anymore. What other big debates are shaping things?
There's a really strong push around evaluation, highlighting how crucial it is to design robust tests and metrics for machine learning. It's often underestimated, but it's a huge driver of actual progress. Like, how do we know if models are genuinely getting better, not just better at gaming-specific tests? And globally, the whole US versus China AI race debate seems to be shifting a bit. Less focus on just geography, more on actual innovation capability, wherever it comes from.
Right, so less about where you're based, more about what you can build. Makes sense with global talent. And finally, responsibility in design.
Absolutely. Growing calls for more transparent and responsible AI system design. Plus, thinking about the new web standards and infrastructure needed to support AI agents safely and effectively. It's all about making sure that as we build this incredibly powerful future, we're, doing it thoughtfully, with accountability.
Wow. Okay. What an incredible tour through the AI landscape today. We've really covered a lot. Everything from those intense talent wars and the legal shifts, right through to amazing new tools changing work and creativity. And of course, the deep dive into LLMs, how they work, their huge role, and what's coming next. It's just clear the speed of change is not slowing down.
Yeah, the hope is this deep dive gives you a clear, sort of structured handle on all these complex shifts, helps you feel genuinely informed, maybe a bit more ready for what's coming with AI. Yeah.
That's exactly the goal. So as AI keeps getting more personal, woven into our lives, and as LLMs become these core CPUs for everything, here's a thought to leave you with. What are the most important new skills or maybe areas of understanding that you personally might need to develop to really thrive in this coming AI native world? Something to maybe mull over until our next deep dive.